Hi there! Up until recently, you always had to make a decision when it came to laptops. You can either go super portable with a slim and sexy ultrabook that can't do much more than a few browser tabs or Netflix, or be a true gamer and get a big fat chunky notebook that can run games at high frame rates, looks like a mix between a spaceship and a sports car and sounds like both combined. Well, thankfully these times are over. Alienware released the smallest of their X lineup earlier this year and really tried to cram an Alder Lake i7 and RTX 3060 inside a super slim and lightweight chassis that just looks absolutely amazing if you ask me. If this thing can actually game and work without throttling itself to oblivion and while still holding true to its portable form factor, well, we will tell you in our review. Our review unit is equipped with Intel's mainstream performance CPU, the i7-12700H, an RTX 3060 running at a maximum of 75 watts, 16GB of DDR5 RAM and a 1TB SSD. If you want to get one for yourself, this configuration will cost you a cool €2,500 or $2,000. There are other configurations available, and the cost of entry into the Alienware world starts at $1,400 or €2,000 at the moment. When it comes to its design, the Alienware definitely turns heads. The lunar white finish looks amazing and fits the part with its rubberized texture. The typical Alienware sci-fi look works really well with this super slim chassis, and build quality is excellent. While the display bezels are reasonably narrow, the X14 has a significant chin, and while it is very thin, the cooling assembly behind the display takes up a bit more desktop space than similar 14-inch gaming notebooks. There's almost no chassis flex and the display hinge is reasonably stiff, keeping the display in place once adjusted. Dell is using the space between the cooling vents in the back to accommodate a variety of ports. I'm a little biased when it comes to ports at the back of laptops, since I really like it to maintain a clean desktop setup. In addition to a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 with DisplayPort pass-through, you get a microSD card reader, an audio combo port, one USB-A and two additional USB-C Thunderbolt 4 ports. All of the USB-C ports can be used to charge the X14 with a 130-watt charger. The SD card reader offers excellent transfer rates should you have a need for it, and in wireless communication the X14 also offers no reason to complain with speedy and stable transfers. In the maintenance department there isn't a lot to do, but at least the SSD and Wi-Fi module can be serviced. To get an inside look at this guy, please head over to our written review. The RGB keyboard offers around 1.2mm of travel and delivers a precise and quiet typing experience without feeling mushy. Because of the cooling assembly, the keyboard is moved towards the front, which sometimes makes for a less than ideal typing position, especially when you have larger hands. This construction also sacrifices the size of the touchpad. While it works very well, it's on the smaller side, which isn't a deal breaker but something you have to get used to. I was a little concerned about Dell's display choice, with it being only Full HD. But after using the X14 for daily productivity, gaming and content creation, it hardly bothered me at all. Of course, it doesn't look as crisp as a 14-inch QHD display side by side. But apart from the resolution, it is a great panel with more than solid specs. It gets very bright, offers G-Sync for tear-free gaming and above average contrast numbers. If you want to use this thing as a super mobile photo and video editing powerhouse, the screen delivers as well. With almost 100% coverage for sRGB and DCI-P3 and a very respectable 88% for Adobe RGB and average delta E's at 0.7 after calibration, it is a well-suited panel even for professional applications. Alright guys, let's see if this tiny beast can deliver more than just good looks. Alienware's Command Center offers quite a few options for performance modes, and while they don't heavily impact performance, they do influence the fan curves significantly. My colleague Andreas did all the benchmarking in balanced mode, and as always, if you want to dive into all of our results, please head over to our written review. Before we get into the results, you have to be aware that you won't get the full performance the i7 chip is actually capable of. Under sustained loads, the hybrid CPU is allowed 55 watts in multi-core scenarios, which is very far away from the potential maximum TDP of 120 watts. So when looking at the performance numbers, keep the form factor for this puppy in mind, and rather compare it to similar devices like the G14 from ROG or the Razer Blade 14. Within that category, at least in CPU performance, the X14 mops the floor with the Ryzen-equipped competition. While in sustained longer loads the performance numbers are leveling out closer to each other, in single core scenarios or short, bursty loads, the X14 is a class of its own when it comes to smallish gaming notebooks. Given the speedy components, system performance is excellent, but that holds true for almost all modern laptops, and you will have a hard time telling the difference between them in day-to-day use. In the GPU department, Dell equips the slimmed-down gamer with a 60W RTX 3060. Again, this is almost as low as you can go when it comes to a 3060, but given the chassis dimensions, the X14 still offers quite a bit of GPU horsepower. Of course, this time it can't compete with the direct competition. Both the Razer Blade 14 with its 100W RTX 3070 Ti and the ROG G14 with the RX 6800S offer much more performance. That said, the Dell only sits a couple of percentage points behind our average RTX 3060 results. And translated into real-world gaming performance, the mid-range Ampere GPU is a great fit for the Full HD panel. You can play almost all modern titles with high to very high settings and get above 60 FPS without a problem. In esports titles with some tuned settings, even reaching the native 144Hz refresh rate shouldn't be a problem. Up until now it sounds like there isn't really anything wrong with the X14. And while this holds true for the most part, there is one caveat to having the slimmest chassis with powerful core components. For the X14 it is noise. Apart from the occasional random ramp up, the small gamer stays very silent in idle or low load scenarios. But as soon as you do anything that stresses the CPU or the GPU, you should have your headphones at hand. We did a couple of noise tests for different scenarios so you get an idea yourself. Since the X14 uses a vapor chamber, it might be loud, but it is also well cooled. It is one of the very few notebooks you can actually put on your lap when you play games or stress the CPU. The lower power levels also result in less than usual performance drops when using the X14 on battery. GPU and CPU performance are almost the same, which can be quite handy when you have to render out a video with no power outlet close by. Speaking about battery, the X14 offers respectable numbers despite using an Intel CPU. While the AMD equipped G14 or Razer Blade 14 can last longer, the difference isn't as big as with other Intel notebooks. If you want to compare the X14 against the competition, please feel free to use our comparison tool on our website. Alright guys, time to wrap it up. The Alienware X14 is definitely unique, and while you will get the world's thinnest gaming laptop, that concept is of course not without compromise. While I personally really like its design language and had a blast using it, you might not like having all the ports in the back or the limited space below the keyboard. While the competition offers more performance for roughly the same price, at least for the high-end configurations, the X14 is well equipped for the excellent Full HD panel. And in the end you will get roughly the same frame rates as the Razer Blade 14 for example on its QHD display. And if the resolution difference while playing games is really noticeable, well, that is for you to decide. When it comes to content creation, the small Alienware was also a lot of fun for both video and photo editing. And is actually a solid small mobile workstation if you aren't a full-time gamer. That said, it is loud, and while it is slim, it's kinda big when it comes to its footprint, so as always, pick your poison. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the X14, and if you liked our video, please feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm working on a video about the Razer Blade 14 too, so it will be very exciting to put it directly against the X14. That will be it for today. Thanks a ton for watching. My name is Alex, you have been amazing and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Take care.